It's a great day to talk hockey with Grant McCagg on HabsCast.
A wonderful night. Wonderful night to be indoors. Hopefully watching HabsCast with me, your host, Grant McCagg. Not a real busy sports night. No Canadiens left in the Australian Open. Habs aren't playing tonight. Not a lot of teams playing tonight, really. So I figured, hey, what better thing to do on a kind of a quiet, cool, cold Monday night than to have another HabsCast, especially after having an interview with Stu Cowan, great columnist, writer for the Montreal Gazette, who joined me mid-afternoon for a little chat. And we talked about, New Hook almost getting back, Laine's injury, Laine getting ready to come back. Does he think that Laine will be in the lineup? He does. Who comes out then? Well, tune in here in a minute and see what Stu had to say about that. He had some interesting comments as always, and I'm going to play it here now. About 30 minutes. I'll be available in the live chat. Pop into the live chat if you're watching on X. Join the fastest growing Habs community that there is on the planet. We interact a lot, have a lot of fun. It's a good group, not toxic. It's great. Come on, join us, and I'll be in the live chat here for the next half hour, replying to people. Ask questions if you have them. Comment on what's being said, and I'll hop on after. I've got some other news and notes and opinions as always that I'll share with you after the interview that I had with Stu. So without further ado, here's Stu. Easy about teams getting a point, the loser point, but I mean it is
faster.
Yeah. Yeah, it certainly is. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting him actually, but that's all I've heard from Liam and anyone else. That just a fine human being.
Yeah.
So Stu, big week. Well, every week's a big week with the standings the way they are. Have you ever seen anything close to this as far as parity goes at near the end of January?
It's exactly what Gary Bettman wanted, right? When they brought in the salary cap and they brought in the loser point, was to keep as many teams in the playoff race as long as possible. So fans are interested and ticket sales are good. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy. You lose a couple of games early, like the Canadiens did. You drop down from a playoff spot into a wild card spot. Now you got Buffalo ahead of them. You got the Bruins right on their heels. So it's going to go right down to the last week of the season. That's exactly what the NHL wanted, and another reason why the owners love Gary Bettman, because of number one, the salary cap, and number two, they now have parity. And you compare that to what's happening in baseball now, where basically there's 3 or 4 teams that have a chance to win, and the other ones are just like the Washington Generals showing up to play the Harlem Globetrotters. So hockey's in a pretty good spot when it comes to that right now.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not crazy about teams getting a point, the loser point, but I mean, it is going to be neat the last month of the season that there's going to be like maybe all but 2 teams that are still very much in the race. It's going to go right down to the last week, even for the Canadiens, I think, this year.
Yeah, if their goaltending doesn't improve, they might be out of it by then. But I mean, you look at now. I mean, I'm just looking at the standings here. You look at the Eastern, the Atlantic Division. You got Detroit first with 69 points and Ottawa last with 55. It's only 14-point difference between first and last, and first and fifth is 7-point difference. So it's the Red Wings. The Red Wings have been really quite the story this year. They've been so consistent. Like they've just been on a roll. When we saw them at the Bell Center last time they played the Canadiens, just they're a big team. They're a well-coached team. They play a disciplined style and have some talent. And they've been a real surprise this season. Just how consistent and steady they've been. They've been number one, number two all the way through. The Canadiens now are going through a bit of a rough spell. And as you said, this week is not going to be easy for them. They got Vegas here on Tuesday, and then they got Colorado here on Thursday, and then they go play on Buffalo on Saturday. So if they were to lose all three of those, they'll probably drop right out of a playoff spot.
Yeah. Well, I'd say the biggest difference right now between Detroit and Montreal would be that they've got Gibson and Nets, and the Canadiens don't, right? So there's going to have to be. I think. You look at the saves above expected, and that's the big stat these days, right? In the NHL, Dobish is 59th in saves above expected at minus 2.9 or something along those lines, and minus 1.9. And well, we just saw Monty the last two games there. He's 80th at minus 7.8%.
Yeah.
In the division, he's 4-5, and I think that down the stretch, there's going to be a pile of divisional games, and it's going to be what's going to decide, I think, whether or not they make the playoffs. He's 4-5. Dobi's 4-1 with a 929 save percentage in the division. Monty is 4-5 with an 859 save percentage. Now, when they sent Fowler back down, my first thought was, okay, Monty's had two good games. They're looking at it like, okay, he's back to play. He's going to be back, and it's going to be like last year where he plays 75% of the games and Dobish plays 25%. But after his last two starts, all he's strung together this year are two good games in a row. And that's just not gonna. Team's not gonna get in the playoffs with Monty being that inconsistent. What do you think their next move is here? Do they look at calling back up Fowler? Because that's an easy, that's easy to do, right? You can call him back up, but then they've got three goalies again. They've got all these extra bodies. They got Laine ready to come back. What's their next roster move?
Well, they'd rather not call Fowler up, and they would have rather not call him up when they did call him up, but they'd reached the point with Montembeault, they basically had no choice. They had to get some better goaltending. It was a chance to see if Fowler was ready for the NHL and everything that comes with it. Monty started playing well, as you said, after he came back from Laval, and Fowler was struggling a bit, right? So it was a good time to send him back down before he maybe started losing his confidence here. But I was surprised that they started Montembeault Saturday night. I really was in Boston. I do my weekly Habs mailbag for the Gazette, and one of the lead question was about the goaltending situation. I thought, Dobish, I think he's deserved a chance to be given 3-4 starts in a row to see if he can handle it. They keep going back to Montembeault. Remember, Dobish was the third star of the NHL in the month of October. He had some really good numbers. To start November, they started Monty the first 2 games, I think 5 of the first 6. They want him to be the number one guy. They want that veteran presence to be the number one guy, and they've done it again since he came back. But after the game in Buffalo, I figured, okay, it's time to give Dobish a chance. His save percentage isn't, Dobish is at 887 and Montembeault's at 868. But right. Dobish is 15-5-3, and he's 5-0-1 in his last 6 starts. He wins for whether it's he makes a big save when they need it, whatever it is, whether the team plays better in front of him, whatever the reasons are. The Canadiens have a really good record when he's in the goal, and he is going to start throwing out against Vegas. And at this point, if he plays well and he wins, I think you ride him. You play him until he doesn't play well, and then maybe go back to Montembeault again. But I at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Fowler called up again, whether it's Dobish going back down. I don't think they're ready to trade Montembeault now. I don't know what the market would be for him now. But you look around the NHL. You got Reimer playing in Ottawa. You got there's quite a few teams that are having some goaltending issues. And you mentioned one of the reasons Detroit's where they are is because they've had good goaltending. But at this point, I think the immediate step is you start Dobish and net. As I said, he will start tomorrow night. And if he plays well, you ride him for a little bit and give Monty maybe a little bit of a break. But at this point, I don't think they're ready to call Fowler up again yet. And for now, they're ready to stick with Montembeault and Dobish.
Okay. You think that there's any
But
possibility?
that could change. That could change. As I said, if they lose
Well-
these 3 games and they don't get the goaltending, and if goaltending is a reason why they lose 2 or all 3 or 2 out of these 3 and they're falling in a playoff spot, that's when Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon are going to have some tough decisions to make as to whether they go to look and try and make a trade for a goalie. There's not a lot out there, though. You see what happened with Ottawa, or whether they bring Fowler back up and maybe give him a little bit of a run as the number 1 guy.
Yeah. Well, I think they're in a better position than Ottawa as far as making a, we often see a goalie for goalie trade where a team that, say, well, let's see if we can't have a change of scenery. Like we saw it with Jerry. Yeah, we saw it with Jerry and Skinner. Now Skinner's won 6 in a row or whatever, in Pittsburgh, where there's less pressure. They're not, the fans haven't got tired of them yet, stuff like that. But yeah, I too was surprised too that Dobish didn't get the start. He's, I don't know, just the other night, I think he would have saved one of those 2 with the team up late, would have been the difference. Like, I think he's
He's a battler, right? I mean,
yeah.
The last game he played was Minnesota, I guess. The last game he played when they won. I mean, he makes some saves. Even I'd say he looks a bit like a road hockey goalie sometimes. He's flopping around and stop making saves with the back of his leg. And he's not a textbook goalie. He's not,
right.
Technically, he's not a great goalie, but he stops the puck. And he's competitive. He's a real competitor, and he wants to be there. I mean, there's a little bit of when Herb Zurkowski had asked him after one of the games, it was the Minnesota game or the game before that he played, about would you rather play a lot of games in Laval or stay up here in Montreal? And he said, well, if I go back to Laval, I won't understand it. Like, I'm winning here, and I feel like I'm on shaky ground. And I think that just showed, like, he wants to be given the opportunity. He's a confident guy. He's got a little bit of cockiness to him, and he's very focused when he's in the net. And he's stop the puck, and he's shown that he's able to stop the puck and make some, as you say, those 2 goals that Montembeault let in, those weak ones against Boston. Maybe he does stop those. Maybe he didn't make some of the saves before that Montembeault made, but he seems to be more able to make big saves at big moments. Whereas Montembeault is really struggling with that right now.
And Monty, like, it seems like he lets in 2 of the first 7 shots. I don't know how many times it's been this year.
Well, I think it's 4 times this season he's let in the first shot.
And then, I mean, it's not all there. I mean, some of them are great scoring chances, okay, but sometimes your goalie make a save, and when you're down 1-0 on the first shot, the guys on the bench are going, "Oh man!" And then when it happens repeatedly, you're like, "Not again." Yeah. And so maybe the players would never say this, of course. Maybe right now they have a little bit more confidence as a team when Dobish is in goal. Goalies are weird. I mean, we all know that. Anybody who's been around goalies, whether it's in the NHL or old timers hockey, there's anybody who's standing in front of a puck coming at them at 100 miles an hour. They're strange guys. And you say sometimes a change of scenery. I mean, Montembeault came back from Laval, looked great, right, the first couple of games. Then he's gone back to I mean, he's been getting quite a few 2-on-1s also, the way the Canadiens play, and they were practicing. He was working on that today before practice. But again, you need your goalie to make big saves at big times, and right now Montembeault is struggling to do that. Yeah, he just seems to be like I don't know, shots in close. He's not too bad. He makes the pad saves, but anything from distance, like low danger shots. I saw a stat where he's like around 90%. He lets in 10% of low danger shots, and the league average is around 97. They let in 3% of those. So
the thing with this Canadiens team now, I mean, for so many years it was rely on Carey Price, right? And hopefully he had only let in 1 or 2 goals, and maybe we'll get 3. Well, now the Canadiens score like 3 goals almost every game, 3 or more. They're 5th in the NHL in offense. They don't need outstanding goaltending right now. If they could get what Montembeault gave them the last 3 seasons, when his save percentage was like 901, 902, 903, like, you can't get more consistent than that. if Dobish and Montembeault both just had 900 save percentages this season, the Canadiens would probably have 4 more wins, something like that. So they don't need the Carey Price standing on his head anymore. They need what Montembeault was the last 3 seasons. That's what they need. And they haven't been getting it. And they seem, I mean, there's enough of a history with Montembeault playing here. I mean, he's a big reason why they made the playoffs last season. Though they wrote him, there's only 2 goals in the NHL who played more games than him last season. And I think the Canadiens aren't ready to admit that he's lost all of that so quickly. And I think they can believe he can get back to be a 900 goalie. But in the meantime, let's see if Jacob Dobish, if you give him a run, if he can be a 900 save percentage goalie. And that's all this team needs right now. They just need a good goaltending. They don't need fantastic goaltending to win games because offense isn't a problem. They can score, and they can score when they've got the lead. They can score when they're down 2 goals. They're an offensive team that just needs some decent goaltending.
Well, 50 games in, when the goaltending is still a major question mark, I got to think. I mean, I can't speak for Kent, but like, as I say this, explore this possibility of maybe doing a goalie for goalie trade. Like, in Ottawa's case, they didn't have any goalie that they could, right? At least Montreal can say, okay, we've got Montembeault, who was 3rd in saves above expected last year in the league and 5th the year before. So he has been a good goalie before. And it might be that a change of scenery will help him, just like it did with Stuart Skinner, obviously. But a team like maybe Seattle with Grubauer as their backup, where they've got the core ahead of them, but you can say, well, okay, we can get away with Monty being our backup, but what else will you give us, right? So you do Grubauer for, let's just like putting this out there, like Grubauer for Monty and another asset. Maybe a Struble or whatever, if they're looking for another defenseman. Can you see? I also threw out there Binnington, which would be an interesting one. Binnington for just to get the 2 goalies a change of scenery.
Yeah, sometimes a change of scenery works. I mean, Binnington, I don't know how he'd fit in the locker room here. I mean, there's been these things with him in the past. That's something that would factor in. And the thing with Montembeault, he's so liked by his teammates. He met with the media today, answered all the questions. He handles the pressure of playing here well. But Gordon and Hughes have done so many good things and smart things since they've been here. The one thing that they screwed up on, in hindsight, 2020, as they say, but when they had the 3 goalie system there a couple of years ago with Caden Primo, and they were afraid to put Primo on waivers, they thought somebody would claim him. At that point, Primo had done nothing to convince me that he was an NHL goalie. And I was thinking, put him on waivers, and if somebody claims him, somebody claims him. It was a 7th round draft pick. It's not like he was a top prospect coming in. And instead, they went with 3 goalies. It didn't help anybody. It didn't help Montembeault. It obviously didn't help Caden Primo. It didn't help Jake Allen. And I'm looking up the stats today for Jake Allen. They're talking about needing a goalie with a 900 save percentage. Jake Allen's got a 909 save percentage this season with New Jersey and a 2.61 goals against average. And again, hindsight being 2020, if they put Primo down, and if he got claimed, he got claimed. You still got Jacob Fowler coming up in your system. And right now, the Canadiens, if they had Jake Allen, would look pretty good in the net right now with the numbers he has, if you had him and Montembeault sort of as a 1-2. But I mean, that's, as I said, hindsight's 2020. They thought Caden Primo could be an NHL goalie. I had my doubts about that just from what I'd seen, and we're seeing now. Like he went to Carolina, and they got claimed by Toronto. Struggled with Carolina back in the AHL now. Whereas Jake Allen's still an effective goalie in the NHL.
Allen is 20th in goals saved above expected. It's plus 7.2. Conversely, Monty's minus 7.9. I mean, that's a big difference. It really is. It would be the difference between them being in first place and being where they are right now.
But it's also, I mean, back when they made that trade, this team wasn't looking to make it. It was all about asset management, and a lot of it still is. They didn't want to lose Caden Primo for nothing. Right now, they don't want to lose Sam Montembeault for nothing, which is why when he went down to Laval, it was on a conditioning stint that he had to agree to. I mean, if they put Sam Montembeault on waivers, he'd get claimed. There's no doubt about that. There's teams out there that would do
that. Oh no, I agree.
So it's all about it's managing. And again, I think the thing Canadiens fans also need to realize too, this team is way ahead of schedule in the rebuild. This is not a Stanley Cup team this year, even with better goaltending. Management knows that. Kent Hughes knows that. So if they were making, they're not going to panic and try and make a deal for a goalie at this point. But it'll be interesting to see, though, moving forward, if the goaltending continues to be as much of a problem as it has been, what they do. Do they just call up Jacob Fowler and give him the experience, give him a run as being the number one goalie, or they try and do something to pick up a goalie? But it's I don't think we're going to see anything until, was there 5 games I think now left until the Olympic break, and then maybe after the Olympic break, trade deadline coming up on March 6th. So there's gonna be some difficult decisions for the Canadiens to make.
Well, I don't think like trading Montembeault for Grubauer or whatever would be a panic move. Like it would.
No. But I'm saying that they're not gonna. Yeah, they're not gonna. No, they're not gonna be giving up prospects as part of a trade to get rid of.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. We'll
Although I
take
do
Montembeault,
think,
but we also want whatever else.
Yeah, I do think though that right now, Stu, they are ahead of schedule, and the East is pretty wide open here.
Yeah.
So do you not think that they might they have arguably the top under 25 group in the league?
Oh yeah.
So they can't afford to give up a couple of young assets to get something. Yep. Do you not think that might be a possibility coming up to the trade deadline?
It could be, for sure. I mean, it could be depending on what happens between. I mean, they want to get in the playoffs. I mean, at the golf tournament this year, Jeff Gorton said it wouldn't be a disappointment if they don't make the playoffs. They're still, they're not going to make panic moves and just try and get in. But this franchise, they want to get in. I don't want to say they need to get in, but I mean, the fan base expects them to get in. Like, it would be a huge disappointment to the fan base if this team doesn't get in the playoffs this season, especially after the way they've started, and especially if it's mainly because of one thing, the goaltending.
Yeah.
So a lot's going to depend. Again, they're going to be, patience has been a virtue for these guys since they took over. And as I said, they still have the 3 goalies. You're right. You can send Dobish back down and call Fowler back up again. Rotate those 2 guys a little bit. Hope Montembeault can find his game again moving forward. But if getting close to the trade deadline and it's starting to look now, they're sitting in first place in the wild card with 63 points. Boston's second wild card spot at 52. Then it drops off to Florida at 59, Philadelphia 57, and Toronto 57. So it'll as much as what happens above them will factor into what they do, what happens below them will factor into also. If they start seeing the possible wild card spots slipping away, I think that's when we might see something happen.
Yeah. Do you think Kakanen's a possibility too?
Good.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, that you look at that the Pittsburgh Edmonton trade, and sometimes for goalies just a change of scenery, right? As you mentioned with Binnington, but I think there's might be some red flags with Binnington as far as what he'd be like coming in to this room, and do you want him around the other young goalies while they're coming up? One thing Montembeault's been is a really great mentor for both Dobish and Fowler, the same way as he said, the same way he learned from Jake Allen, who when Jake Allen was here, rather than being upset. I mean, Jake Allen wasn't thrilled about 3 goals. There's no doubt about that. But Jake Allen's a pro, and he was a mentor to both Montembeault and Caden Primo at that time, and kept in touch with them afterwards also. So that's the type of veteran goalie this team is going to want if they go out and get another veteran goalie. Is a guy who's going to be coming in here and being a good influence on the younger goalies also.
Right. Well, Grubauer, I don't think certainly doesn't have that reputation if they went that way. But and I don't know that Binnington necessarily has had issues with teammates. Really, it's been opponents and refs and coaches.
They tried to pull him there a few games ago, and he wouldn't get a bench. Remember that? And the backup goalie was hiding in the back row.
Hofer was hiding behind the pillar.
Yeah,
that was, which tells you maybe that he may be a little bit selfish when it comes to that. But that would be the concern, obviously, with Binnington. But I mean, the man is also one when the games are big, and I think the Canadiens need that right now. They don't necessarily have that with Monty. We saw this.
Well, that goes back to what I was saying about Dobish, though. Too. That goes back to saying with Dobish, just he just seems to be able to win games.
Yeah, I know.
That's
I mean, he didn't do it in the playoffs last year when he came up, but I wouldn't blame it on the goaltending last year in the playoffs. But we saw this today, Stu. Obviously, Newhook's ankles are feeling a little better.
That's probably the first time he's been on the ice. The first time I've seen or heard of him being on the ice. I mean, he's not due to be back until the end of March. He's nowhere close to when they had. That's what they were saying when after they had the operation. It'd be after the trade deadline. But definitely a good sign to see him back on skates. I mean, that's first step towards coming back.
I think like end of March we might be seeing him before that. Given that he's obviously the ankle's good enough to put all the pressure on each of them there. That's good. Like maybe by the end of February as opposed to the end of March isn't unrealistic.
Well, with broken bones, it's more of a set timeline than if it's sprains or whatever else, and bones take a certain amount of time to heal. Maybe it'd be a little bit ahead, but the Canadiens aren't going to rush him. Just like you mentioned Laine earlier. Laine's been skating for a while now. He's practicing with the teams, wearing a full contact sweater. When he went out, it was at the end of October. They said 3 to 4 months. So we're right at the 3-month stage now. So he's almost ready to come back, but they're not going to rush guys back from injuries. And
no.
If you watch Newhook skating, he's skating very tentatively with. He's putting weight on the leg, which is great. But he's certainly a ways away. But I think they've learned their lesson in recent times with maybe putting longer timelines on when the players will return. Just so with the broken ankle, I've never broken my ankle, but I've had a high ankle sprain.
That can take a while.
Well, I remember going to the hospital and they took X-rays and the doctor coming out and say, "Well, the bad news is it's not broken." And I go, "What do you mean?" He says, "If it was broken, I'd put you in a cast in 4 to 6 weeks, you'd be healed. It's a high ankle sprain, and they can take a long time to recover." And there's no real timeline on it. And once you think it's healed, it's easy to do it again and whatnot. So for Newhook, you broke it. It's been in a cast, or sort of more of a set timeline for that recovery. So as I said, he's on pace, if not ahead of pace, seeing him on the ice today.
Yeah. Well, a lot of breaks, Stu, you're back within 2 months, right? So like 4 months, I think is like I expect him back before 4 months.
Yeah, we'll see.
If he's out on the ice now and he's putting obviously he's not, but I think I would be suspecting it'll be early to mid-March for him. But I mean, we'll see. It's just good that he's back, and we know that he'll be back this season. I think it's fair to say. But what's the next move here? Laine, he's practicing. He's full contact. The 15 forwards with Laine activated. What do they do? Do they activate him? And if they
I think they're gonna put him in the lineup. As talking about the March 6th trade down. See, I mean, they maybe even put him in the lineup for a game or two and try him with Suzuki and Caulfield. I mean, they've been, the Doc was there for 2 games. They took him off. They put Texier back. Again, March 6th trade deadline and asset management. They'd love to get something in exchange for Laine, right? So if they can put him in and on the power play, obviously, even if they put him on the second unit, he's not going to hurt, right? He likes to shoot the puck, and one of the problems against power play is they don't shoot the puck enough. So to get a guy out there who shoots, but I'd be surprised if they don't put him in the lineup to see what he can do. And I don't see him having a future with the Canadiens beyond this season. But again, you want to get something in return from him, and you're not going to get much in return from him if he's not playing. If he's playing and he's even effective on the power play, there's teams going into the playoffs. So we saw what he did when he joined the Canadiens last season, just from a power play perspective, and how much he helped them and how many games he won for them by being able to score on the power play. So he's still a valuable commodity offensively, but you got to get him on the ice and you got to get him playing for other teams to see how he's doing, to see if they're going to be willing to give anything up to get him.
$8.5 million. It's hard to sit that in the stands.
I mean, they'll only be picking up after the trade deadline the last month of that salary, right? So it's not a ton of money left on that deal.
No, that's right.
He's not going to get $8.5 million his next contract, wherever it might be.
No. But let's say he comes back in. what did the Canadiens do? They're gonna have 15 forwards. One of them has to go.
Yeah,
somehow or
and
another.
then it comes down. I mean, you look at it like Gallagher or Bolduc are the two guys I think that would be the most likely after they've already taken out the. Joe Veleno was a healthy scratch the first 5 games,
Yeah.
and then was played every single game until Saturday night in Boston. Sammy Blais, they took Sammy Blais out. So I think it comes down to it's between Bolduc and Gallagher, and I'm not sure if this management team is ready to make Brendan Gallagher a healthy scratch at this point. Whether they,
Yeah.
Bolduc, it's going to be a tough decision because Marty St has spoken about how much he likes the progress that he's seen from Bolduc. And Bolduc has a little bit of a sandpaper in his game, like he's not afraid to be physical, and that's something this team needs.
Yeah.
So it's. But as Marty St. Louis said, they're tough decisions. That's why he gets paid the money, and you don't like telling anybody they have to sit out. But they're gonna, and it's good decisions to have because this team for so many years, they had no depth, whether it was defense, forward, or goaltending, and now they got depth in a lot of different places. It makes those decisions are tough decisions, but it's good to have those decisions.
I guess Texier's the other in that mix, but like Bolduc at least brings more physicality than Texier, but Texier's the fourth. Anyway, quick, I'll just wrap it up here quickly. So would Blais then be sent to the minors, do you think, or tried to go through waivers
again? And I probably wouldn't. And
they have to do something, eh?
Yeah, it's so many. It's so tough what they would do. Do they send Veleno down?
Yeah.
I think they'd be more willing to risk losing him maybe than Sammy Blais. It's tough. I mean, they're all tough decisions, right? It's good that 4 years into a rebuild they're already making tough decisions or facing tough decisions like this. It's fun for fans playing around. What are they going to do? Who are they going to send? But we'll get more answers, obviously. I think once we come back from the Olympic break and leading into the March 6th trade deadline.
Okay, Stu, I got to let you go there. I know you got to go. I really appreciate you coming on, and we'll try to do this again sometime soon, okay?
All right, take care.
Unmute Mike. Thank you. Sorry about the fuzziness at the end there. I'm glad I'm not fuzzy anymore. Really nice to have Stu on. You should be able to hear me now. Okay. Yeah. A little late with your typing there, Mark. Does it not come in for about 30 seconds? But anyway, yeah. I figured after I unmuted the mic that you'd be able to hear me. And you can. Good. So, yeah, some interesting things there. Bolduc's been playing. I've liked Bolduc the last couple of games. I mean, you know what? Right now, I'd honestly, if Laine is going to get a look on the top line, if Doc's not on the top line, I almost I do think that they need a more physical presence and size at center. I had a problem when Doc came back a couple of years ago when he played second line center because he had to face top two lines, right? But if you have him playing center, on a bottom two line, I think he can be more effective. Danault was a fourth line center. I prefer to him being a third because Danault doesn't provide much offense. So personally, I would consider sitting Evans on occasion. And if you're going to, I don't like the idea of going to Galley. Galley's picked up his game. If it has to be Galley, okay. But, I mean, I'm not going to be sitting Galley all the time. It would be now and then. I would sit, if it was me, I would sit with Evans, Bolduc, Gallagher, Texier, and say, look, guys, we need to get Laine in. We've got one goal on the power play, on the second power play unit all year. We've got this $8.5 million contract, a 35 goal scorer for his career. We need to have a look at Laine. And what we're going to do here, guys, is each of you is going to sit out a game here and there. It won't be, don't worry if you sit out a game, it won't be long term. It's just that we have too many bodies right now. So, Gally, we're going to sit you on occasion. Zach, you might be out a game or two. Texier and Evans, same deal for all of you. Doc can come in and play center, right? I would like him playing with Bolduc and Texier on the third line, actually, centering that line, perhaps, and have a fourth line of Deneau, Evans, Gallagher, right? So, like, they've been the third line there. Well, bump him down one. Have them as the fourth line. So that's a pretty good fourth line, veteran group, right? So this way, I would have Evans sit on occasion. You're not going to sit Galley all the time. Laine could sit the odd game too. So there'd be 5 people that you could rotate in and out of the lineup. So once every 5 games you're out. That's not that bad. And sit these guys down, explain the situation, and and take it from there. Evans for me is not playing real well. He's struggled. I mean, I've talked about his stats. They're not great. So Bolduc and Doc offer more physicality, and I think they need that in the bottom 6. So if Laine is going to be in, and I would give him a look on the top line. Like, at the very least, they're shopping, you're showcasing him, right? And playing him on the top line and on the power play, he's going to get more opportunity than he got last year with the Habs, and he still scored at a 30-plus goal pace. So, if he can come in and score at a 30 to 40 goal pace with the Canadiens up until the trade deadline, there's teams that'll take that. It's an expiring contract. It's not like they got to pay him $8.5 million for the next 5 years or something like that. But also, if he comes in and he has the kind of impact that he had last year, I think he had 11 power play goals in his first 10 games or something ridiculous like that. The Canadiens might even think, well, why would we trade this guy? Let's keep him for the rest of the year. If he's really good, unless a team comes calling and just says, blows the doors off, maybe we shouldn't be. Maybe we should keep him in the lineup and then do, like I say there, do the rotating thing with the other guys. I think Blais probably gets waived, sent down to Laval. I don't know if he'll go through. I mean, it's possible. They're going to probably lose a player here. It might be Veleno goes down, but I don't think so. Marty, I've talked to I've talked to some people that know Veleno and stuff, and Marty, and it's apparent Marty likes Veleno. He played him quite a bit on the PK. He was effective on the PK. It's actually better penalty killing, I think, than Evans this year when he got that role. So it's Mark sent me a toonie. Thank you, Mark. I'm up to I'm gonna break the $2,000 mark, I think, this month for the first time. Last month I hit went over 1,600 in YouTube revenues, and this month I think I'm at 1,770 or something. So what do we got? Like 5 days left on the month, and I got to get $230. So we'll see, but it's looking good for being able to crack the. I hope crack the $2,000 mark. It'd be fantastic. Hopefully we can get there. I'll be working hard at it here over the next week, and hopefully can get over that the magical $2,000 mark for a month. And it's all because of you folks. Thank you. Simo, I think the injury of Monty last playoff changed everything this summer training, and he never got back to his standard. Maybe. I don't know if the married life has changed things at all. Not going to blame the wife, that's for sure. But, sometimes you can get a little more, all of a sudden you got to do a few more things around the house when you got that ring on your finger, right? Let's see, what else? Mark weighed in with saying, I think Monty has done well to fill a role over the last couple of years. Helped get the team to where we are. Having said that, I think it's best for both sides to move on. Yeah. And, I also think that there might be, I still think the best possible option here, if they do decide to move on, is a goalie for goalie trade, right? And I mean, the Canadiens can sweeten the pot. They've got lots of guys. They got too many players on the roster to begin with, right? I mean, so, like a Struble might be, might get some interest from Seattle, which isn't. I don't think they're fantastic on defense. I think they could use a Struble in their lineup. They probably like that. Like if you offered Monty and Struble for Grubauer, or maybe in one other asset, it might be something that, because they have a starting goalie, and Monty ideally I think is a backup goalie, and the problem with the Canadiens is that they don't see Dobish as a starter, so they're kind of stuck in that regard, like trying to use Monty as a friggin' a number one goalie, and I think he's shown this year that he's just not that anymore. Kind of like, I mean, it happens to goalies, right? Georgiev 3 years ago looked like a rising goalie star, right? Out of the freaking league now. But now, I'm not saying that Monty will be out of the league in a couple of years, but I mean, there's been plenty of examples through the years of goalies that, for whatever reason, lose their confidence, and it's hard to get back, especially in one calendar year. And Montreal really, I think, wants to make the playoffs. This young group needs more playoff experience. I don't think there'd be a better thing for them than to get than to play, I don't know, win a round would be fantastic for this young core to get that playoff experience. And there's no better way of getting experience at the NHL level than playoff hockey. Chicago's got a couple of goalies. Maybe Soderblom's been bandied about. Maybe maybe there can be a deal made with Chicago, or I threw out Bennington the other day. I still think that I'd prefer having Bennington. He's a big game goalie, Maybe he needs a change of scenery. Maybe St. Louis would explore some kind of a deal. I'd look at it. But as far as the they activate Laine, they got to make a move. I think it's probably Blais that goes down. I mean, before Texier got back in the lineup, Veleno was playing and Blais wasn't. So, that tells me that he's ahead of Blais on the pecking order. He was playing regularly. He was playing 12, 14 minutes a night there when he was in the lineup. And killing a lot of penalties. Him and Kapanen were actually a good penalty killing tandem. So he's a great guy to have as your spare guy, really. I think that Belay is probably the odd man out, and he'll get it just seems like Marty, it's funny, the guys that lead the team in hits per game, like Struble, like other than Anderson, but you got Struble, Belay, Veleno, Struble, Belay, Veleno, and Jackeye. None of them play a lot, right? And it's just, I don't, this for a team that you would hope would play more physically, they don't, Marty doesn't seem to, I don't know that that's the type of team that Marty necessarily likes. He seems to prefer the skill guys over the physical guys. Maybe I'm reading that wrong, but I mean, ideally you have both, but I mean, even Bolduc is kind of, his ice time has gone down, and it just seems like the guys that do the most hitting play the least amount, or they sit out, which, I don't know if you can read anything into that or not, but, so if Hughes picks up a couple physical players, do they sit out anyway? I don't know. With you talking about potentially trading a young player, I wonder if LJ Mooney would be a good piece. I've said it a few times, Eric, this year, that I think Mooney's one of the guys that might be, might be a trade chip for the club down the road. Just from the standpoint of a team that really needs to get bigger, I think, if they want to win at playoff time. So in that regard, I think it's going to be hard for him to crack the top 6, even though he is a very skilled, super fast player. Not a goal scorer, really. So a 5'7" playmaker, is that going to be better than Hage or Jarosky or the 5 guys, that are in the top 5 that aren't going to be supplanted, or the top 2, I mean? Probably not. So, but I have to say that certainly Motzko, his coach in Minnesota, I'm going to have to take a look at his game. It's evident that his defense is better than it was earlier in the year. I thought it was suspect, but Motzko's playing him penalty kill. He played him in the World Juniors. They had 5-on-3 penalty kill, and he put Mooney out there as the only forward, which tells me that his coach at least thinks that he's good defensively. So, maybe there's been rapid improvement in that part of his game. And if that's the case, then maybe he could play a bottom 6 role, as a speedster energy guy, a la New Hook, but shorter version, but also with more playmaking skill and offensive potential than a New Hook. And maybe, you can find a role with him down the road with Montreal, but yeah, I think he might be somebody, if they do, eventually try to fill some holes and they dangle a couple of prospects. I would think that Mooney would have some value, and also that he might be someone that they would be willing to part with. Yeah. 21 likes and 110 watching. Come on, peeps, hit the like button. Yeah. We got 122 watching here now. That's a good turnout on a Monday night. Thank you, folks. Yeah, hit the like button, please, if you're watching. If you're on X watching, come on over to HabsCast on YouTube. Hit the like button. I appreciate it every bit. Every bit helps. And join in the conversation. There's a damn good chance that your comment will be read, especially if you're a newcomer on here. Ricky, this one's a little longer. Not easy to assess the goaltenders market. There's generally not as many good ones available as there once was, so most organizations don't have a ton of depth. Yeah. LJ Mooney will probably have a bigger value next year. Yeah. Yeah, he may not be traded this year. And I would agree that he'll probably have more value next year. Do we really need another undersized player? Yeah, given that we continually lose to bigger and heavier players with grit. Well, that's what I was kind of saying there, Charles. We're on the same wavelength. You may be in Scotland there, Charles, but the wavelength carries far, doesn't it? I love Mooney. I just don't see where he fits on the team. We definitely need to get bigger, not smaller. Yeah. As far as what team would like Mooney, well, I don't know. Like a big team that could use more speed. I imagine there's a few out there, right? Like you pick up this type of player if you got a pedestrian lineup as far as speed with lots of size and grit. Maybe you look at you can add a player like Mooney, like, I don't know, Washington off the top of my head, maybe a team like that. They don't have a lot of flexibility with the goaltenders. Either way, Monty stays or he gets traded. No way they'll send him down. No, they're not going to try sending him down. Yeah. Charles, we haven't seen a healthy Laine, so let's see what he can do before he's let go. So we need another prolific goal scorer. Yeah, some people say we don't need goals, but I don't know. 5th in the league in goals. I wouldn't mind being 1st in the league in goals. Right? That wouldn't be a bad thing, I don't think. You can't score too many goals, I mean, there's an opening on the top line. If there wasn't an opening on the top line, why not a former number 2 overall pick, 6'5", motivated in his contract year, knows this is his last chance to earn another decent NHL contract. Likes Montreal, likes the players, got in shape in the summer, is probably in some of the best shape he's been in the last 3 years right now. Very skilled team with some really good young playmakers that can feed him the puck. If he's got his shot back, he can do some damage here, and he can help. I like the fact that they've been, well, I mean, the hole is there, right? With Slav off the first line, Texe isn't the guy, I don't think, on the first line. Well, give Laine a shot. I hope they do. And who knows? Could be magic. Marty will not give up on Bolduc. Can't destroy his confidence given his age and potential. No. I think they might, like I say, I think given that it could be Galley that's one of the potential guys that gets rotated in and out here. I think the best way of approaching that would be to go to like 5 guys, like I said. Include Evans, so there's another vet there, so Galley doesn't, feel quite as bad about it, but say, like all you guys, don't want any out of the lineup, but this is the way, we've got too many bodies. I'm going to sit Galley, I'm going to sit you out the odd game. Jake, I'm going to sit you out the odd game. Zach, you're going to have to sit now and then. Tex, the odd game. Say it to all these guys and explain it to them. And I don't think they can, if they're team players, right, they're not going to be offended by it, and they'll be on board. So let's set it up here a bit. I'll get to a few more comments there in a bit, but nice hat and sweater, says Eric. Thank you. So Vegas coming off a 7-1 loss. I had a look at their lineup, their schedule this year, and they've had games where they lost like 5-1, lost fairly convincingly, and then lost the next game. So you expect them to come out with fire. I know I watched some of the game last night, and Mark Stone the captain was not very happy. I think that they'll be read the riot act and come out a lot stronger. That's obviously their worst loss of the season. But they have had losing streaks this year. They had 2 4-game winless streaks and a 5-game winless streak already this year. So they have had, like a lot of teams, Habs included, they've had their ups and downs in a league that's rife with parity. So, here's hoping that they're in one of their losing streaks, winless streaks here, and that the Canadiens can keep it going here. It's going to be important, I think, to come out, maybe get that first goal, get the crowd into it, play a heavy game. Lest we forget, they went into Vegas and won 4-1 earlier this year. So they have shown that they can beat Vegas in Vegas. So, and Vegas has 6 guys out compared to might only be 1 now for the Canadiens, right? Like, how often has that been that they're playing a team that has 6 times as many injuries as them? What's it been, a decade since you could say that? But Vegas has out right now, they've got a Carter Hart, Brett Howden, William Karlsson, Braden McNabb, Brandon Saad, and Colton Sissons. Some good players there. So, those are holes in their lineup. And the Canadiens need to take advantage of this, having a healthier lineup than the team they'll be facing, which has not been a common theme this year for the most part. It's been the opposite. So nice to see the Canadiens getting healthy. The only guy that's really injured right now is Newhook, and he was on the ice today. So it's good. The Canadiens are finally getting some health, and they've got to start to take advantage of that now with they should have a deep roster. The bottom 2 lines are going to be better because of the injuries coming back. Good depth now, and hopefully, the Canadiens. It'd be nice if the top 2 lines could both have good games at the same time. That's something that it hasn't happened that often this year. If they could both play well at the same time, if all 4 lines could play well at the same time, the Canadiens can be and get good goaltending. They're a very good team. They have as much skill and talent as any team in the league, as far as I'm concerned. So it'll be a big test for them, but they're capable of beating Vegas. They beat them at home in Vegas 4-1 earlier in the year, and they had more injuries, and Vegas didn't have as many injuries. So why can't they beat them with a healthy lineup in Vegas with a bunch of key guys out? We'll see. But Sheldon, hey Sheldon, thanks for the toonie. I appreciate that. We're getting close to $1,800 on the $1,800 this month. Only 5 days to go, so I really hope we can crack that $2,000, and that certainly is a lot more plausible when I get some support from you folks, which is always appreciated. In the morning interview, Marty was saying he's been happy with Bolduc for about a month, even without results. He's adapting to the team plan. Yeah, you know, he's not hurting the team that much. He's playing a more direct style, I think. I think he understands that at this point he may ultimately be a bottom six guy, and so he's going to have to play, not try to be fancy. It's not going to be a dangler, you know. Montreal has more than enough of those. He needs to play like along the lines of what Heineman did last year, right? And he's starting to play more and more like Heineman did. And I think that's one of the reasons they picked him up, because wanted to replace that, that piece that they needed to include to get Dobson. So, yeah, I haven't had a big issue with Bolduc's play. As long as you can't be impatient when it comes to his production. It's going to take time. It takes a lot of young players till they're 24, 24, 25 to really figure things out and be comfortable at the NHL level. Did I hear Newhook maybe a bit ahead of schedule? Think we're missing him on PK in addition to his overall play. Yeah, well, he was playing well. Good, that speed, one of the fastest skaters in the league. He was figuring things out. Yeah. He was starting to produce at a decent level. So, yeah. I think I said going into the year that I thought that Newhook could be a key to the season for them, and it looked like he was for a change was making me look smart there. So absolutely, I think he'll be a welcome addition when he gets back, and yet another, look, you might as well start getting these guys used to sitting the odd game, because when Newhook's back, especially. Without question, Galley's going to have to sit now and then. Texier's probably going to have to sit now and then. Maybe Bolduc, maybe Evans, like these guys. It's, but I also think that they should move a couple. I think they're going to be buyers and sellers at the moving up to the deadline here. They're going to have to move some bodies, or just lose them on waivers. And the Canadiens have not, and with good reason, I don't think like to lose assets for nothing, right? By the way, I don't know if you recognize that fella. He shopped for his hardwood flooring at logsend.com. They're West Quebec company. Also, they've got a showroom in Canada, actually Stittsville, very close to where I live. But great folks, hockey guys. They're a hockey family. They have wide plank flooring that they, from logs that they take out of the Ottawa River. It was just a fantastic concept that Gord Black, the founder, came up with. He, in fact, dove down and got logs himself till, he's in his, well into his 70s now, I think, and had a bad accident. Actually, he fell off of one of those log piles there and really hurt his back and couldn't do it anymore. But for the first decade or so, he was the one going down finding these big logs himself, and they're hauling them out of the river, turn them into beautiful planking, beautiful wood flooring. But hey, go to their website here, www.logsend.com, and check it out. It's beautiful stuff. And if you do get in touch with them, tell them that Grant sent you, and they'll look after you, guaranteed. If you know someone else that maybe could be looking for flooring, just pass the name along. logsend.com, and I really appreciate that. They're my first main sponsor, and I want them to be happy that they did so. I missed it earlier. Oh, sorry. The only concern with Laine in the lineup is the cap hit when he's on the roster. Yeah. Well, they'll have to get that sorted out, but I think they've got the capologist in place there. He'll get it figured out. Am I saying Doc Bolduc and Texier third? Dano, Anderson, Galley fourth. I'm saying that the odd time, if Laine's on the top line and they're sitting out on nights that they're sitting out Evans, I wasn't saying this is a permanent thing, but I also think, Texier come out on occasion. Laine can come out on occasion. Galley can sit on occasion. Maybe Bolduc. A rotating group that sits out. I don't know if Valeno comes in now and then, two guys sit out, but I really think that they're going to probably go that route where, because none of these guys, I don't think they want to be sitting out all the time, right? What is it here? 5? I see a pound thing. That must be from Charles. 5 pounds. Thank you. I just gained 5 pounds again. Thanks, Charles. Hi, Grant. Keep up the great work. Good night, as it's getting late here. All right, my friend. That's quite generous of you. That's about $8 Canadian or something like that. So, yabba dabba doo. We're closing in on that $2,000. Thanks to folks like you, all the way from Glasgow, Scotland, folks. Okay. My pleasure, mate. Okay, man. Thanks for tuning in. Top of the morning to you or whatever. I guess that's a little Irish, eh? Close enough. Da Vinci Code would not risk losing Blais or Valeno to waivers just so a 35-goal scorer can get a look. Well, sorry, but that doesn't make sense. Career 3-goal scorers, you don't want to lose them on waivers because a 35-goal scorer that makes $8.5 million, you don't want him in and getting a look. Sorry, Da Vinci, but we're gonna have to agree to disagree on that. Laine was never put on LTIR. Yeah, so his cap hit is already on the roster. Yeah, I thought that was the case. So, yeah, exactly. Do Habs have to waive players? When Laine comes back, I think they're going to have to do something, waive or trade. somebody. Yeah, Blay plays with grit, but he's not. The thing is, he's not playing. So you don't play. You know, like I'm sure up in the press box, he's hitting people and throwing the odd elbow and get stick checks and stuff like that. But that's not helping too much in the game, right? You can be as physical if you want. If you're freaking up in the press box, right? Oh, look at how aggressively he's eating that hot dog. Habs, that's going to help the Habs score 2 more goals. It is what it is, right? Clearly, Marty doesn't think he should be in the lineup, and that's before guys have, that's before players have started coming back, and now another one's coming back. So, Laine or Blay, come on, it's not a difficult choice, even if you could use some more physicality. Well, have the other guys play more physical. Laine can hit too. The freaking guy, I've seen it. I watched him a lot. Like I've said before, in Winnipeg, and the guy can staple, folks. Like, he can hit, and he does. He's playing for a contract here. Remember how good Evans was last year? Remember how good Dvorak was the second half of last year? They were playing for contracts. This is an $8.5 million contract, and at worst, showcasing them. And guess what, folks? At the trade deadline, if Laine does look okay, and they do try to deal him, they're getting a lot more for him than they would for Sammy Blais. Trust me. When you had the best goalie in the world for 12 straight, it's pretty hard to replace Price. Every goalie from here on is going to be a disappointment. Will take a few generations to find. Oh, few generations. Terry, they had generational goalies, one after another forever. It's not generations, maybe a few years, and it doesn't have to be a generational goalie. The Habs won cups in the 60s with Gump Worsley as their goalie. Charlie Hodge, were they generational goalies? No. But, they had Plant, right? Then they had Dryden, Patty Waugh, Theodore, Price, like all Vezina winners, right? Pretty good goalies. And it wasn't like you didn't have to wait generations between each of them. Don't worry, they'll come up with one. Maybe Fowler will be a great goalie. Certainly, he has done nothing to discount that possibility so far. I don't think. Marty focused on protecting leads, burn the clock by skating deep with puck rather than dumping without forecheck. Better to miss net than shots being blocked, etc. Did you see the? I don't know if you saw the clip today of him in practice getting pretty worked up. Nice to see Marty a little irascible, and that was the case today. I don't mind that at all. A little bit of showing a little bit of attitude. He was pissed off at them there. I think Tex-Shea, I think, at one point, and Anderson. I think he was tuning in Josh. So I don't mind that. Glad to see that from Marty. Hey, they got to sink or swim here, folks. Oh, Rick's using a different laptop. Oh, we can only hope it's permanent. Best news I've heard in a while. Rick's using a different friggin' computer. I agree on need for more grit and more play. Is to wait, or yeah. If his play is decent, we should keep him. It's a perfect situation. Laine knows he won't be back next year, and one would think he'll be motivated to cash in on his next contract. Yeah. The Canadiens have guys that could, like Doc. Doc can be physical. Laine can be physical. Demi can be physical. Cole doesn't lack. He's been hitting guys. Actually, knocked a few guys down recently. Suzuki, he plays a rugged enough style. He's not going to run people over, but Galley plays physically. Yeah, he's not the biggest guy, but he plays. Josh plays physical. Bolduc, quite physical, throwing hits. So it's not like they're soft, right? They have to compete. If they compete, this group competes. The skill, skill and compete. It's a nice combination. They can beat a lot of teams, and the blue line has some sandpaper too. With Goalie back really helps. Jack-Eye in there, Matheson competes. Yeah, he's not the most physical guy, but he's got an edge to his game too. Would like to see Dobson play a little more. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but ideally we could see a little more juice from him. Caddy is not the biggest guy, but he's a warrior, So, yeah, it would be nice to have a bigger, more physical team. But this is a team that is the most skilled one that Montreal's had in 3-4 decades. They had teams that weren't that. They had a few teams back in those days that, didn't have a pile of grit, but were pretty skilled, and they did okay. We'll see. I think they'll try to add a piece or two, but ideally you get one more in the middle lines as opposed to a fourth line. Like even Blay in the lineup is not playing more than 8 minutes a night anyway, so how much of a difference does it make whether he's in the lineup or he's not? Well, weigh that versus a guy that can automatically help your power play, especially that second power play. He might be on the first and you put Demi down to the second, and Demi kind of runs things, or he's on the second power play and he's friggin', he's the motor. He's the goal scorer, the guy that gets it going. Because one power play goal for and 3 against so far, the second in 53 games, that's not good enough. They have to get the second power play going. Sammy Blay's not going to do that, folks. The best power play guy in the entire league last year, yeah, that might help. That might help the second power play. I think Kapanen has hit the wall. Yep. Looks like they're playing short-handed. Okay, well, all right, yeah. Terry, you You always have some interesting takes, buddy. Someone certainly has to be on waivers due to the numbers, and only 23 can be on the roster. Yeah. We could re-sign Blais or Veleno. By the way, yes, Kapanen is, I don't know, hit the wall. He's been tired. Hasn't had a good few games, but for 48, he was fantastic. So I wouldn't worry about it. He's having a little bit of a lull in his rookie season, as many do. Beckett Seneca, up until last game, had gone like 5 games with no goals, 6 games, wasn't playing that great. He hit a wall too. Well, what did he do last night? Scored the game winner. So I'm not worried about Kapanen. He's not going to become dumb all of a sudden. So he's still doing a lot of good things in his own zone defensively. Not worried about Cappy. We could re-sign Blair Veleno as 13, 14. No year. That's like, why Fred over 13, 14 forward? They're a dime a dozen. You pick one up. Yeah, you could sign those guys as 13, 14 forward. You could sign 100 guys as your 13, 14 forward in the summer. That's the easiest thing in the world to do. Sign your 13th, 14th forward. I don't see how sitting Laine makes any sense just to keep a 13th, 14th. Yeah, well, Laine averages more goals than the third and fourth line combined for his career. So, yeah, people say, we don't need more goals. That's how you win a hockey game, folks. You score more goals than the other team. Not a bad thing to have goals. More goals. Not a bad thing. We have to wait someone to activate Laine or option Bolduc to the AHL. Yeah, that's the other option, right? It's almost like you can get a 13 forward, 14 forward off waivers. Yeah. So Reinbacher, we had a bit of bad news there. Reinbacher got hurt. Might be collarbone. Jarowski's out now. So just when the parent club gets better, it's getting healthy, and the injuries start to the prospects again, eh? It can never be both healthy, right? Ever. Canadiens are doomed in that regard, I guess. But I don't know. I haven't heard. Obviously, word from Russia is not Griffin Reinhart. Thoughts on Griffin Reinhart's tryout in Laval? Former 4th overall pick. Bust. Why not? Worth a shot. All it is a tryout, right? Once upon a time, he was played for the Edmonton Oil Kings. Sammy's brother, little brother, younger brother. Yeah, what the hell? He hasn't played. Is that right? He hasn't played since 2021-22. That can't be right. Belfast was the last. Belfast Giants, 21-22. How old is he's 32. Retired. Well, that's interesting. Hadn't heard about that, but that's why not? It's just a tryout. Need a right wing ASAP. Yeah. Well, how about Patrick Laine? There you go. You're welcome. Unless there are a lot of injuries, I don't see Beck coming back. No. No. Well, unless they trade a whole bunch, but no. The numbers aren't there for anyone. They aren't calling up any forwards. They've got 16 forwards right now. So you call up what? You call up Beck and puts 5 on waivers? Or like, come on, folks. Came in late, rewatching now. Thanks for the great content, Grant. Hey, Chase the Face. You're mighty welcome. Glad you tuned in. We recognize the value of experience. At the same time, we don't want to put restraints on our younger players. There you go. Danny Asham, all the way from Winnipeg, says, hit the likes, folks. Thank you, Danny, for doing my work here. When we're healthy, there won't be room for Blay. No. I don't know if he'd be lost, honestly. He could go through waivers. Maybe a team will pick him up. I don't know. Ahoy, everyone. Good day. Yeah. As a rebuilding team, I don't know if I'm not sure the Habs are a rebuilding team right now. Let's leave all the under 25 and unders to their own devices. We'll trade them later if we need to. There you go. Doc should sit out because he's injury prone. Jake Evans has speed and reliable third center. Yeah, well, he's not a third center. He's fourth or fifth center. And he doesn't bring any size or physicality. He has sucked on the penalty kill this year. He's not been good since he signed his contract. Him and Deneau are redundant. Doc is not. Give me Doc over Evans all day at center if it was up to me. Yeah, Theo also won the Hart. That's why I mentioned, all these guys that won Vezinas. But, I mean, Carey won the Hart. Theodore won the Hart. I wasn't going to, specifically go into that too, because all of them had won the Vezina. I mentioned it in general. But, yes, Theodore won the Hart. Price won the Hart. You got to have Hart. Miles and miles of it. Oh, I just looked up the injury update on Reinbacher. Seems like upper body injury and day-to-day is the best we could have hoped for. Is the best we could have hoped for, or it's the best we could have hoped for? Did you want a period after day-to-day and it's the best? Or because this is kind of sketchy here. So it's day-to-day and it's the best we could have hoped for? Well, people always overreact, right? He's gone for a lifetime. Let's hope it's just a bruise. Deep bruise. I'm okay with Doc already. Great to have. Yeah, he freaking dropped the gloves the other night too. How many forwards will drop the gloves? But people always, oh no, he's injury prone. He got cut the other night. What player you get cut by a blade or whatever won't bleed and get stitches? So that means he's made of glass? None of these guys are made of Velcro, buddy. He's not injury prone. He's been unlucky. He's going to friggin' come back. he came back from the game last night. If he was made of glass and a wimp and wuss, and he wouldn't have come back. He must have got a pile of stitches, and he came back and played last night, or not last night, last game, and got in a fight too. No. When's the last time Jake Evans got in a fight? Oh, he tried to fight somebody earlier this year, and it was like, oof. Don't do that again, Jake. Now NHL teams are going to sit players because there's a chance they might get hurt. Well, exactly. Like, what the hell? I don't. Oh, not going to play him. He might get hurt. Okay. Well, then he'd be in the, he'd be sitting up in the stands just like he is if he's not playing. So what's the difference? No, don't want to play him. Because he might get hurt. Then he'd be up in the stands. Well, if he's not playing, that's where he is. He's up in the stands. Like, I don't get it. Okay. Grant, if you are now the GM, what position do you improve at the trade deadline? Goalie. Big center. They haven't got somebody playing on the top line. Big center, Doc up on the top line, whatever. But I think they need a big physical center, and they need better goaltending. Maybe a big winger, and get rid of some of the, they've got 16 forwards. It bothers me that they signed Texier to a 2-year deal. I don't know. That one, the jury remains out on that one, but Mooney for Charlie Lindgren. Why would Washington do that, though, Sandra? That's the, sure, sounds good, but bring back Charlie. Yeah. Trade for Primo and Lindgren, and I don't think Washington will trade Lindgren. You need 2 goalies, right? He's playing well, so Reinbacher injury is day to day. Well, hey, hello. Yeah, Da Vinci, yeah. Wave Blay, who hasn't played in 5 games. He'd physical up in the press box, right? Da Vinci? You still not understanding? There's no place in the lineup for him without Laine. So what's the difference with Laine? Why bring up a guy that's 14th on the depth chart and now 15th with Laine back? Well, more physical up in the press box? I'll keep bringing that up. Like, you want more physicality in the press box. That's going to win them games, right? You want the guy, like, I'm going to hit the hot dog vendor. Oh, 2 goals for the Habs. Blay just nailed the hot dog vendor in the press box. Come on now. All players have down periods during an 82-game season. Yeah, I'm not too worried about it. Yeah, he was brought in on off waivers. Laine was the last-minute signing. What are we worried about the 14th, 15th? Blay's the 15th, and when Newhook's back, he's the 16th forward. My goodness. This reminds me of the there was a 230-page topic thread on HF boards back in the day about the outrage about the Canadiens letting go Chris Diamond. Anyone remember that? Like, that's how far down the rabbit hole sometimes fans can get about immaterial players. Like, Chris Diamond. Oh, why did they not re-sign Chris Diamond? Most of you would have to Google that name, eh? Because he was irrelevant. Sammy Blais played in the AHL last year, right? Played in the AHL this year. Been through waivers. Got reclaimed by Montreal. I don't mind Sammy Blais, but there's no place for him in the lineup. It's just, that's the way it is. If you get an NHL team, Da Vinci, you can put him in your lineup. But Marty doesn't have him in his lineup, so it's irrelevant. He's the 16th forward. He's not playing. So move on. Thank you. Whatever happened to Frankie Flowers? Whatever happened to Aaron Asham? Well, he finished his career, retired, likes to slug back a few beers. He plays with the legends of hockey. Well, Google him up there. You'll get Frankie. So looked up the injury date. Yeah. Day to day. Yay. It's the best we could have hoped for. I think they'll trade for Robert Thomas. Maybe. Bennington, Parayko, Thomas, blockbuster. Oh, God. Yeah. That would be cool, eh? And for Sammy Blais, could they get that trio for Sammy Blais? Get Da Vinci on the line. He'll talk him into it. Like all the 20 paragraphs. You add physicality to your lineup. I'll tell Kent to hire Da Vinci there. Get him as your spokesperson when you get teams on the line. I don't see Hughes making a big trade. Yeah. Yeah, but he's more of a big game player with those names. Could be a cup. Yeah, you never know, eh? Who's this Bennington guy, Zeffel, that you keep talking about? Bennington. They don't need more goals. They need to defend. Better goaltending. Yeah, well, no. I disagree. You can have more goals. And Patrick Laine, again, for the 45th time I've probably said this now, 3.1 goals against per 60 last year. That's not bad. Montreal's goals against average is basically 3.1. So he doesn't hurt you defensively nearly as much as people let on. Like, one more goal every 10 games with Laine in the lineup versus, well, last year in 10 games, his first 10 games, he got 11 power play goals by himself. So which would you rather have over 10 games? 11 power play goals or one more goal against? What would help you win more? 11 power play goals or one goal against? Yeah, I know, Zeph, I know what Binnington's stats are. Well aware of it. And that's why changes the scenery, right? Stuart Skinner, is his record better? He's won 6 straight games in Pittsburgh. Why? Change of scenery. Right? Goalies, they do it all the time. They trade goalies for goalies. Well, maybe he'll find his game with a new team. Maybe he'll get his game back. Jordan Binnington has a lot more game to get back than Monty. Jordan Binnington was a starting goalie last year at the Four Nations Cup, and he was a big reason why. This is only a few months ago. Monty never saw a minute. Okay? Big game goalie. Jordan Binnington took team to the Stanley Cup Finals. Monty has never won I don't think he's ever won a playoff game. Binnington, 16 playoff games in 1 year. Big game goalie. So if one of those two is going to bounce back and play up to their potential, which one's better? Jordan Binnington, who's going to win the games in the playoffs for you? If you were to put money on it, and then, would it be Jordan Binnington to win you a big game or Montembeault? And be honest about it, Zeph. Right? Like, I'm talking about trading Binnington for Monty. Why would anybody be against that when it comes to the reason would be that maybe he would upset the dressing room, but from a player, from a pedigree, from a who's more proven, who's won big games, it's not a contest whatsoever. It would be well worth it I would trade Monty for Binnington so freaking quickly. Like, even Da Vinci wouldn't even be able to get his explanation in there. It would be just done. Deal. All right, Zeph. Well, glad you sort of came around. Okay, I've been told that I need to go from Binnington to Benetton. Yeah, I wish. I've been told that I need to go let my puppy out. So I best happy wife, happy life type thing. Binnington showed how good he can be in the shutout against the Habs after he was named to the Olympic team. He was freaking good that game, wasn't he? Has Monty been better than that at any game this year? No. Yes, he is. He's the goalie who tried to steal Ovechkin's puck for a milestone. I love it. He's competitive. Just call him a winner. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. All right, folks. Well, you know what? I'm glad Zeph and Da Vinci and, Terry and all you guys come back and have your opinions, and we don't always agree, but we're all Habs fans, and we all, we all can't be on the same page all the time. I hope you don't take it to heart when I get, vociferous in my reasoning as to why I disagree with you, but it's all good. You know, best fan base in the world, right? I don't know who's on. I'm going to do a podcast after the game tomorrow. I don't know if I'm doing one during the day. I might. I got to talk to Eric and see if he's available tomorrow. Might do a lunch time show with Eric, who's great, right? You guys have seen. He's a great host. So we'll see, but keep your eyes open. How about a like here? Okay. Maybe subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate the donations as always, guys. Thank you very much, Sheldon and Charles, of course, all the way from Glasgow, and Mark, of course, as always. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it, guys, and we'll see you after the game tomorrow night for sure. And keep, hit the notify button if you're a subscriber, and you'll get notification that a live podcast coming up. I might be doing one with Eric. I'm gonna text him as soon as I'm off here and see if he's available tomorrow. But I miss your point. Okay, well, what's your point, Da Vinci? Your point is what? That the 16th guy is going to help? We'll go for a couple more minutes. Explain your point to me, Da Vinci, one more time here. Explain to me your point on how Blais, the 16th forward, is more valuable than a career 35-goal scorer. Go ahead. I'll sit here and I'll wait. Because maybe I did miss your point. And go ahead, explain it. I got a couple minutes here. Explain how I missed your point about Sammy Blais being more valuable as a 16th forward in the press box, hitting the hot dog vendor, than a 35 career goal scorer coming in and helping the most anemic second power play in the league. The floor is yours, VD, and I'll see if I can if I won't miss your point this time. Yeah, that's what I thought. Doc at third line center would be the move. Yeah, I would like that. Major overpay for Bennington, Shen. They are not worth that much. No. Still waiting to hear explanation on the 16th forward. Well, malaise, the Blaze malaise, right? Anyway, I gotta go let my dog out, and I think the conversation on the 16th forward for tonight, at least, is over. Next time, Da Vinci, you can explain it to me, and I'll maybe in my hard-headedness, I'll understand the next time why you think the 16th forward needs to be in the lineup instead of the career 35 goal scorer. Okay, folks, I got to go for now. Thank you very much, as always. Hope to see you tomorrow. Have a good night. Bye for now.